Lindsay Jo Rimer. Lindsay Jo Rimer was born on the 17th of February 1981 to parents Geraldine, Jerry, and Colin Rimer. Lindsay lived with her parents, older brother Daniel, older sister Kate, and younger sister Juliet at a house on Cambridge Street in the town of Hebden Bridge, situated in the northern county of West Yorkshire in the UK, and made famous recently as the setting for BAFTA-winning BBC drama series Happy Valley. Lindsay was described by her mother Gary as a well-behaved, conscientious, and happy kid, a girl so well-organized and efficient that her family nicknamed her Safi, after the character in British sitcom Absolutely Fabulous, who displayed the same traits. She was a conscientious and popular student in Year 9 at the local Calder High School, and had expressed an interest in going to university to attain a degree once her high school education was completed. Lindsay had recently taken on a part-time job at local Four Boys newsagents, delivering newspapers to earn some money, at least in part to fund what her mum described as a developing interest in fashion. Lindsay's home life had not always been easy, though. The family-run pub in Rotherham had gone bust, and subsequently, under the strain of the resultant financial problems, her parents had separated. Following this, Lindsay, her brother Daniel, and father Colin lived separately from the rest of the family in caravans at Lower Roughhead Farm, Hebden Bridge. For 2 years, Lindsay and Daniel shared one caravan, and Colin lived in another at the farm. Whilst Daniel apparently quite enjoyed the country lifestyle and sometimes returned to help the farmer, he was sheep-dipping the day before Lindsay's disappearance. Lindsay appears to have been less keen on it and missed her friends. However, her parents eventually reconciled, and the whole family was once again living together again by the time Lindsay disappeared in November 1994. Lindsay goes missing. On the evening of 7th November 1994, Lindsay was at home with Colin. Her sister Kate was 20 at the time and had already left home. Presumably, although it is not clear from information in the public domain, Daniel and Juliet, only a toddler at the time, were also at home on this evening. At approximately 10 p.m., Lindsay left the house on Cambridge Street to go to a shop and buy a packet of cornflakes, while her father Colin was having a conversation on the telephone, which commenced at 9:45 p.m., and so no words passed between them. On the way to the shop, Lindsay visited the Trades Club in Home Street, where her mum Jerry was out having a drink with a friend. Jerry offered to buy Lindsay a Coke, but Lindsay refused and left to continue her journey to the shop. CCTV at the Spar supermarket on Crown Street captures Lindsay buying a packet of cornflakes at 10:22 p.m. This is the last footage of Lindsay alive, and she appears to be acting completely normally, with no hint of any concerns. Nor is she carrying anything, such as a bag, other than the packet of cornflakes she had set out to buy. Lindsay never made it home, although this fact went unnoticed till the morning of the 8th of November, as Jerry had been out for the evening and, in her own words, made the mistake of my life by not checking Lindsay had returned when she got home. Colin had been on the telephone from 9:45 to 10:20 p.m. and had also not been aware of his daughter's failure to return. On the morning of the 8th of November, Four Boys newsagents called the Rimer home as Lindsay had failed to turn up for her morning newspaper delivery round, and it was at this point that the alarm was raised. Search and discovery. Despite family and friends strongly arguing that Lindsay was not the type of girl who would leave home, police initially believed it was likely that she was a runaway, speculating that she was unhappy at home. This was denied by her family. Despite this initial belief, there was an investigation unit set up, and extensive appeals and searches took place. Lindsay's older sister, Kate, played the role of her sister in a televised reconstruction of Lindsay's last known movements, in the hope this would jog memories. But the police received little useful information as a result. Hundreds of local people joined searches of the area, and some parts of the Rochdale Canal and River Calder were also searched, but to no avail. Lindsay's family participated in a Channel 4 documentary called Deadline, in the hope this would help generate information about their daughter's whereabouts. However, the documentary caused more problems for the family when the demeanor of Colin was questioned. He was observed by some viewers to be smirking and too happy-jolly given his situation, and some started to suspect he was in some way involved with his daughter's disappearance. His wife Jerry supported him unequivocally and outlined how behind closed doors Colin was an emotional wreck, but his way of coping with the events was to put on a brave face and happy demeanor in public, as well as his observed smirking being a result of nerves at being in front of the camera. The police do not believe Colin was involved in his daughter's disappearance. Lindsay is found. In the late morning of the 12th of April, 1995, 5 months after Lindsay went missing, her body was found by canal workers dredging Rawdon Mill Lock, 12 of the Rochdale Canal, approximately 1 mile from the center of Hebden Bridge. Police admitted that the section of canal where the remains were found had not been part of earlier searches of the canal, a crucial mistake made, as the police had failed to search upstream from Lindsay's home, and one which would cost the investigation a heavy price. Lindsay's body had been weighed down with a 20-pound concrete boulder, the boulder having been taken from the side of the canal by the killer. It appears from an FOI request submitted to West Yorkshire Police in 2021 that the boulder was secured to her remains by rope, though I cannot find confirmation elsewhere that this was the case. Where the rope came from, if this was so, is unclear. Perhaps the killer brought it with them, suggesting some form of premeditation, or perhaps this also was found by the killer close to the canal. Lindsay was still wearing the same clothing she was pictured wearing in the CCTV footage taken at the Spar on the night she disappeared. Lindsay's remains were taken to the Royal Halifax Infirmary for post-mortem by Home Office pathologist Professor Mike Green, assisted by Dr. Naomi Carter. The pathologist concluded that Lindsay had died as a result of strangulation, with the larynx slightly flattened against the spinal column, and a prominent band of congestion across the middle area of the neck muscles. Halifax Courier article from 2000, quoted on HebWeb. Much of the content of the report has been kept confidential for investigative reasons, including information on the arrangement of Lindsay's clothing when she was found. But the police did advise that no sexual assault was believed to have taken place. The investigation. Detectives believe that Lindsay was murdered the night she disappeared, and that she had already been placed in the canal by the time she was reported missing on the morning of the 8th of November, 1994. The part of the canal where her remains were found is situated fairly close to the Rimer family home, and so the police believed it likely that Lindsay was picked up by someone in a car on her walk home from the Spar shop, probably someone she knew given that she was believed to be a sensible and cautious girl who was unlikely to get into a car with a stranger. Police speculated that whilst it was likely she knew her killer, Lindsay could have met him as recently as a few nights before her death, at a bonfire night celebration in the town on 5th November. Close to the area of the canal where her remains were discovered was a working mill factory, now long since closed and demolished, where detectives theorized the killer, sexually attracted to Lindsay, had taken her with the aim of some form of liaison, and when rejected, he killed her, possibly by mistake. In the 3 decades since Lindsay's murder, police have spoken to over 5,000 people, taken hundreds of witness statements, and examined over 1,200 vehicles. Lindsay's murder was investigated as part of Operation Enigma, a national inquiry that reviewed the unsolved murders of 207 women across Britain, which eliminated any link between Lindsay's murder and others. In 2016, police confirmed that a DNA profile, believed to be that of Lindsay's killer, had been isolated by a team of Canadian forensic specialists. 2 arrests were made in 2016 and 2017, but neither man has been charged, and given the availability of a DNA sample to test against it, appears likely they have been eliminated. Theories. Police clearly believe that Lindsay was killed by someone she knew, but other possibilities have investigated or proposed by outsiders over the years. The police discovered that a red Honda Civic stolen in Meanwood, near Leeds, on the 6th of November, had been spotted several times in Hebden Bridge, near where Lindsay had last been seen, and was again seen in the town during the evening of the 12th of November. An e-fit was produced of the driver, described as a bearded male, and police attempted to trace both him and the vehicle. They discovered Honda Man had tried to talk to a number of teenage girls in the town around the time of Lindsay's disappearance, including some of Lindsay's school friends. He was spotted near the Spar shop where Lindsay was last seen alive. The car was found abandoned in Sheffield 10 days after Lindsay's disappearance. Recent appeals in 2024 have focused on possible links between the murder and the red Honda, suggesting that police think the man in the car may have had a role to play in Lindsay's death. John Taylor. Taylor was convicted of the murder of Leeds schoolgirl Leanne Tiernan following her murder in November 2000 and a series of rapes. He is also a suspect in a number of other murders in the West Yorkshire area. Police have investigated him in Lindsay's case, but no evidence has linked him to her murder. John Oswin. Oswin, from Halifax in West Yorkshire, was given an indefinite life sentence after he pled guilty to 2 rapes and 2 indecent assaults involving teenage girls in 2008, the Halifax area from December 1993 to September 1997. At least one incident occurred along a canal towpath, a commonality with Lindsay's case, and Hebden Bridge is only 9 miles from Halifax. Again, police investigated, but could not link him to Lindsay's case. Tony King. In 2003, the press reported that police were investigating the so-called Costa Killer and Holloway Strangler and had sought his DNA in Lindsay's case. However, police described this as speculation. Jimmy Savile, one of the more outlandish theories about Lindsay's murder, is that it was committed by notorious celebrity sex offender Savile. The suggestion comes about as a result of Savile apparently regularly staying at a friend's caravan situated at Crag Vale, a mile from Lower Roughhead Farm, where Lindsay lived with her father and brother for 2 years, and Savile renting a garage in the town to park his Rolls-Royce. In the month Lindsay went missing, Savile's whereabouts are unconfirmed, and he was absent from the public eye, adding to the speculation of a link. However, the link seems tenuous at best. Francisco Arce Montes. In 2007, true crime author Wensley Clarkson claimed in his book, The Predator, Portrait of a Serial Killer, that Montes, killer of 13-year-old British schoolgirl Caroline Dickinson, murdered while she slept in a hostel in France, was responsible for Lindsay's murder. Clarkson claimed that he was told by a retired police officer that Montes, working as a waiter in London in 1994, had visited York and was on a hunting trip in the West Yorkshire area on the date of Lindsay's disappearance. However, Clarkson has never been able to provide any evidence to back up the claims and refuses to name the officer he says gave him this information. Vince Robson, in 2017, a retired detective from Cleveland Police, claimed that Vince Robson, a man questioned in relation to the murders of Julie Hogg and Tina Bell, had links to the Rimer family and the Hebden Bridge area. Robson moved to Hebden Bridge in 1990 and worked at the Trades Club, the place Lindsay visited to see her mum Gary on her way to the spar shop. Robson is purportedly one of the last people to see Lindsay alive on the night she disappeared, and the detective concerned believes he should be a prime suspect. These claims were explored further in Channel 4 documentary, In the Footsteps of Killers.